the median time to get approval to build a house there is 627 days. That's 217 days longer than it took to build the Empire State Building.
Bill Maher has officially had enough, and California is now under full attack. What was once America's golden state is collapsing under mountains of red tape, and Maher is calling out the real culprit, a one-party system that answers to no one. This isn't comedy anymore. It's a warning about how unchecked power is slowly destroying California from the inside.
California is the place that spends money and gets nothing, which is why you may have noticed when the fires broke out, no one escaped by high-speed rail. We have the highest marginal tax rate in America, higher than almost all other states, and soon Greenland.
Maher, who's usually careful with his words, completely drops the filter here. He unloads on California's government for wrecking his home state with suffocating regulations and political arrogance. The criticism is raw, ruthless, and unfiltered. So if you haven't hit subscribe yet, now's the time, because what Maher exposes next explains why California is bleeding people, money, and opportunity.
Many regulations that aren't necessary, I mean, you really don't believe that the state we live in, California, is lacking regulation. There's over 300,000 regulations. I mean,
Well, maybe they're needed.
They're not. When I tried to put in a garage door, I had to have 3 inspections. There should have been none. I should be allowed to change my garage door.
Are you kidding? Really? It was about a garage door?
Absolutely.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that is...
Maher kicks things off by torching California's housing regulations, calling them a bureaucratic nightmare, which should take months, now drags on for years under endless permits, environmental reviews, and approvals. But housing is just the beginning. According to Maher, the same red tape has crippled transportation projects, stalled infrastructure, strangled Hollywood with compliance costs, and suffocated the energy sector. These rules may have started with good intentions, but they've mutated into a system that protects inefficiency instead of people. The result? A state that builds nothing, fixes nothing, and steadily loses jobs and investment to places willing to move forward.
You know this about California.
No, I don't.
Well,
I'm sorry, I don't.
You've never heard that California is overtaxed and overregulated? That we are a one-party state where there's sort of no checks on that sort of extreme leftism. And that, why do you think...
I don't for a minute consider California a state that is extreme leftist. Not at all, not any way.
Well, that shows where your politics are. That's not where mine are. I'm sorry to tell you.
Maher places the blame squarely on California's one-party dominance, and he doesn't mince words. In real swing states like Pennsylvania, Arizona, or Georgia, politicians know every mistake can cost them power. Accountability exists. But in a political monopoly, consequences vanish. When leaders know their seats are safe, urgency disappears. Rising housing costs, crumbling infrastructure, and runaway regulation get ignored. Politicians move only when their careers are at risk. Competition forces action. Complacency breeds chaos. And California has mastered complacency.
People who, they don't really like them that much. They just think the far left has gone so nutty on so many issues.
That's what they're being told.
That's what they...
By people like you.
Because it's true.
Maher then calls out elite denial head-on, pushing back against figures like Jane Fonda, who downplay California's overregulation. For the wealthy, regulation is just a talking point. Rising rent, energy fees, permits, and taxes don't touch their lifestyles. Maher argues this disconnect is exactly why people turn to Donald Trump, not because Trump was perfect, but because he acknowledged real pain. Regular Americans don't have unlimited financial cushions. When regulations stack up, they pay the price immediately while elites lecture safely from behind gated walls.
We have spent the last 2 decades in perpetual drought here, yet almond farmers in California have doubled in that time, despite the fact that almond production alone uses more water than all the humans and businesses in San Francisco and Los Angeles combined, even on days when your teenage son spends 2 hours showering. How much water it takes to grow different crops, oranges, tomatoes, strawberries, all take about 11 gallons to make 1 pound. Almonds, 1,900 gallons. That wasn't a problem back when it rained, but now there simply isn't enough water to go around, and we have to make a painful choice, getting it to the people or getting it in the nut.
Maher shifts his fire toward California's agricultural regulations, exposing policies that actively harm the very communities they claim to protect. He points out that rainfall patterns have changed drastically over the past 2 decades, yet water policy has barely evolved. Even more absurd, massive amounts of limited water are diverted to almond farming, one of the most water-intensive crops in the world, while rural towns face dry wells and collapsing livelihoods. Maher argues this isn't environmentalism, it's regulatory incompetence dressed up as virtue.
California agriculture accounts for 80% of our water use, even though California agriculture is less than 2% of our economy. We actually have enough water. We just give way too much of it to farmers who get their water subsidized by the government because we still act like it's 1890 and farmers are small and independent when they're really mostly part of big ag. And corporations get what they want in America.
According to Maher, California continues pouring scarce water into agriculture while subsidizing it heavily, despite no longer being a farming-first state. Today's California is driven by tech, entertainment, and services, yet its water policies are frozen in the 1950s. Many modern agribusinesses are wealthy enough to pay the real cost of their consumption, but instead taxpayers foot the bill, while cities ration showers. Maher says that